they're in the room, and I'm looking, and I see him, and I start yelling and screaming, and my brother wakes up, and when he wakes up, of course, they're gone. My father, stepdad comes down, and there's nobody there. Stop screaming, stop yelling. There's nothing, there's no boogeyman here, right? So everybody leaves. My brother goes instantly to sleep. I mean, out, boom, zapped. They're back.
This week, I am so excited to bring back for his second time, Reverend Bill McDonald. So I'll go ahead and I'll read his bio, and then we'll talk about why he's back and the focus we are choosing for today, because it is an extraordinary one, to say the least. Reverend Bill McDonald is on a mission to teach the power of love. I love that so much. And forgiveness. I love that so much. His life has been a spiritual journey spanning slightly over 7 decades. His whole life has been a mystical trip in search of gurus, the paranormal, and self-discovery, which I think a lot of us are really wanting for ourselves as well. He has written about his many spiritual transforming experiences and near-death experiences, including supernatural events during his combat tour of duty in the Vietnam War. And so, speaking of these spiritually transformative experiences, one happened when you were very young, when there was an extraterrestrial abduction. Welcome back. Before we get going, I always forget to do this. For those listening in, please like, subscribe, comment, share. It helps to get these messages out. So it just takes just a moment with your little finger, but it has a huge ripple effect. Thank you.
Well, aloha. In case somebody wondering what that shirt said, I was with a guy that's got this campaign going in Hawaii. I just got back from Honolulu, and they're trying to make this the first state to have a national gesture.
Oh, I love that.
And then they're also putting in for a license plate. Anyway, that's the whole thing. But if you ever see this, because I got a bunch of comments. I had pictures like this with people, and they go, "Would you belong to a gang, Reverend Bill?" What's this? It's not a gang sign unless you consider the Hawaiian people a big family gang.
And isn't it like hang loose? Hang loose. Anything couldn't be more nonviolent than that.
Yeah. But what's interesting was I usually talk about all these subjects. I went to Hawaii, and I started off with one. It kept expanding because one workshop. But when I say sell out, I'm not charging anybody any money, but the attendance was, RSVPs full, right? So I kept adding more and more, and I did several. And in fact, I did the night before I left, hours before, I'm still doing one for people. Oh, I'm never going to see you again. Anyway, so I spent a lot of time with that, but I actually got some free time, and this is going to get us to where we're going.
Okay.
Because I normally don't talk about extraterrestrials, UFOs, not my prominent message, because I'm trying to focus people on a spiritual path. But then things happened on this trip that I hadn't planned, hadn't asked to be a part of or anything else. But on this journey this last week on Oahu, this whole thing of UFOs, alien abductions, the implant in my arm, all these things came up when this Hawaiian lady channeled for me, and she didn't. I want to do this for you. And this Kahuna goes, yes, I want this person to do this for you, and everybody wanted me to do this because not usually something I would seek out, but it was coming, and I'm going, I should be receptive, because sometimes the universe just throws you things, right?
That's right.
So I'm going, be open-minded. And there's this tiny woman. She wasn't really tall or, overwhelming energy. But when she started to channel, holy cow, man, I think I'm talking to this really high-frequency being in front of me.
You probably were.
Yeah, it was like, and she's channeling, and she picks up these people from another galaxy or planet or world or something, Palladians or something. I'll have to look at that. She sent me a recording because I'm listening and I'm going, what? She's from some other... So she's talking to me as... It's like, you talking to me? No, she's not talking to me. This channeling person's talking to me.
Right.
So, okay, I finally you know, and it got right into several issues, and one of them was my UFO alien abduction in 1950. You know, it's not usually a subject, as I said, I normally talk about. And I wanted to get clarity and understanding on that. So I kind of said, okay, go ahead with it, and it's all right. And I kind of wanted to know, yeah, if it's real and everything, great, because I believe it was. There's no doubt. But what significance was what was that about?
Yeah,
Why?
and you were just 5, right? You were like a little
5.
guy.
And I had an older sister and a younger sister. 3 of us. Well, I should tell the experience first so they know where I'm coming from. We were in Coos Bay, Oregon, and it was at night. I kept seeing these. They weren't tall, but I was short, so I mean, everybody looked tall to me at that age, right? But I'm assuming they were probably 5 footish, 5.5, 4.5. I mean, something hard to judge at that age. But they're bigger than me.
Were you? Can I slow you down?
Yeah.
It's the middle of the night. Were you asleep in bed? Like, where were you? Did they wake you?
Family residence.
Okay.
My brother's sleeping in one bed. I'm in another bed in a room. My 2 sisters in another room. Parents in another room. And all of a sudden I look up, and coming through the walls, are at least 5 of these guys. And they're wearing kind of like a bodysuit of some kind of a flight suit or something, or jumper suit or something. At that age, I was thinking of coveralls, farmers or something, but it was more like a uniform. They're all wearing the same clothes.
Okay.
And I don't remember any hair or anything, but the eyes look like almonds. Like
so it's
owl
the
eyes.
stereotypical, like the big eyes, the little chin, the little mouth. Like, is it that when we see aliens?
It was like almonds.
Okay.
You know, they were kind of, remind me of an owl, though. I don't know if it had any connection with an owl, but it reminded me of an owl.
Okay.
Okay, because it was like no logical reason to connect it other than if I think about the experience, I always think of owls. Owls I love, so I'm not afraid of owls, right? Anyway, so they're in a room, and I'm looking, and I see him, and I start yelling and screaming, and my brother wakes up, and when he wakes up, of course, they're gone. My stepdad comes down, and there's nobody there. Stop screaming, stop yelling. There's no boogeymen here, right? So everybody leaves. My brother goes instantly to sleep. I mean, out, boom, zapped. They're back.
Gosh.
And at the time, and this has no logic because it isn't what it said. Realize a 5-year-old is identifying these things and trying to relate. As a 5-year-old, I'm looking at something that looks like a fishing pole with some kind of hook on it, and they're trying to do something to my skin or my eyes or something. That looked like some kind of experiment. They're trying to do something to me. And I'm screaming. I'm going, this is evasive. I'm yelling. My brother's not moving. My stepdad's not coming down the hall, and I'm louder than I was the first time. None of the neighbors are hearing anything, but I'm going, like boom, and I pull up the blankets, I hide under the blankets, but I could see through the blankets. It was like X-ray. It was like there's some kind of device where it was like X-ray. You could see through, you could see through your fingers. It was weird. It was like X-ray experience. So I ran out of the room, went into my sister's room, and they're both wide awake. They're hearing me, and they're like, shook up. They're scared. What's going on? And I'm standing next to them, and several, meaning it could have been 3, 5, 6, 7, a room full of them. They all come in.
To your sister's room, where you are now.
Yeah, and they're standing there, and my sisters are screaming, and I kind of stopped screaming at this point. I'm just kind of looking. All right, now at that point, everybody agrees on, my sisters and everybody. And now, that was about 9 o'clock at night. The next memory that all of us have together is sunrise, whatever time that was, sunrise, it could depend on the time of the year, sunrise, the next morning in the front room, we're hiding behind the sofa, and there's 3 of these beings, for lack of a better word, standing next to the window, and all of a sudden, the sun starts shining through them. They start getting, like in Star Trek, beam me up, Scotty. Then the body kind of does that. So they just kind of go in there, but before they're doing, they're kind of giving me this kind of it's all right. I mean, they didn't say anything, but it was like, it's all right. We love you. It's all right. It's like a parental kind of thing, like
reassuring you.
Yeah, it's like it's all right.
Comforting.
And my sisters are like, So we didn't talk about that. It happened in 1950. Me and my sisters didn't talk about that until I was working on my first book, and I wanted to write about it. And I verify this thing. Am I crazy? It didn't really happen. It's like, we never talked about it until I was writing my book in 2000 and something. Over 50 years later before we ever uttered a word about it.
Why? Did you try to talk with them about it, or had you
think about that.
Repressed it?
Think about that. Nobody, you think that would have been a topic of conversation that day, right?
Well, yeah, or at some point that would have come up. So 50 years.
Yeah,
do you have any insight into why you
I knew.
Tell me that. Why? What?
I knew it happened.
But why didn't you bring it up?
Because I wanted to have verification for the experience, because I've had experiences without them, but I'm just saying that's an experience with them. And when you're telling some kind of mystical, supernatural, odd experience, the more relevant it becomes when you have facts. 3 people experience this.
That's exactly my point. You want people to validate it. You want to have some witnesses. So I'm asking, why did it take 50 years for you and your sisters to bring it up?
They never wanted to talk, but they were scared to talk. They were fearful.
And you knew that, so that's why you held back.
Brought it up. They reacted differently to the experience than I did, and I think being female, maybe that was part of it. Maybe there was things going on with them that weren't happening with me. I don't know. That's just subjective, because I'm not exactly sure what happened to them, but things were happening. And I had that experience, and almost every night after that for years, I would have out-of-body experiences. I'd be gone, and, or the night would start off, I'm sleeping, and I'd have a hand on my shoulder, and then next thing you know, I'm gone. And then I'd come back in the morning, it's like, boom, into the bed, So there was something going on, and I'd wake up, and I'd have bloody noses for years. The nose would be bleeding all the time. And but my extrasensory perception level, it was probably a 10 before I started. I mean, a 10 out of 10. I thought it was pretty good. And it moved that scale up to 100. I mean, it just went, it figured 10 was like top really great, but it just went boom. My energy level went really, I'm a little guy. I mean, I'm still a young person, but it was like, so me and Marcia, my little sister, who passed away a couple of years ago, we used to, after that, we were playing games, like we'd lay outside, look at the clouds. And it's something everybody does. You look at the clouds, and you've probably done it yourself. You could sit there and you could dissolve them. You could move them. Had a contest who could dissolve it or move it quickest. I mean, I'm assuming that's normally what kids do. I don't know. We did it.
I thought you were going to say just that one looks like a unicorn and that one looks like a bunny rabbit.
No,
that's different. I don't know if people are saying they're dissolving and moving and manipulating.
No. We were going, okay, pick a cloud. Okay, I'm going to install mine before yours, boy, or we're going to move it, together or away or whatever. We move it opposite direction of the sky is going, whatever.
So she had some of your gifts too.
Yes. And then we would take a deck of cards and we'd play this game, and she was like, oh, this is when she was about 7, I guess. I don't know, it was 9. But we could take a deck of cards and one be the receiver, one be the sender. The idea was you couldn't just say it's a hearts or it's a clubs or it's red or it's black. No, you couldn't say it was a 7. No, you had to say 7 of hearts, clubs, whatever. It had to be exactly what that card was. Otherwise, it didn't count.
Mm-hmm. You're doing your own little clinical trials here.
All right. So we would be doing this thing, and she was pretty good. She'd get like 28, 30 out of 52. I thought that was pretty reasonable. But I'll be sitting there in a 40 range. And the ones I missed was like, it's an ace of spades, and I said an ace of clubs, or 7 of hearts and it's a 7 of diamonds. That was the misses.
Yeah.
So I had the right color. So it wasn't just random guessing. So then we said, that's too easy. So then we went into try to make a harder game. And the game was read my thoughts. And you had to come up with 1 or 2 sentences. It could be like Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Mary had a little lamb. Any random thing, you know, the sky is blue. Didn't matter. You had 3 guesses. That's it. No clues. 3 guesses. And we'd pretty much always get them. You know, sometimes it would take 3 guesses if you weren't, you know. Sometimes it would take 2. A lot of times, dead on. Now think about the odds of that. Like right now I ask you to think something. You could have the first sentence of a song in your mind, or you could have quote, you know.
You could have a gazillion different things.
1,000 things.
So let me ask you this, Reverend. If you were right, something came through. Did you hear it? Did you see it? Did you know it? How did it communicate to you?
It was, I asked this question on the island a couple of days ago in Hawaii when I was having this channeling done for me. Mm-hmm. And it was contacting the other side, in fact, the other universe, the aliens, right? So I said, okay, what was happening here? And so basically, the channeling session said that, it's kind of like a computer getting a download, you know, like you upgrade your phone. It was an upgrade. So
their visit was an upgrade.
Yes, and so everything they were doing for me was uploading my frequency capacity to receive. Mm-hmm. And subsequently, I've had several more downloads and various experiences. Everything from a rainbow body experience to a orb experience where the orbs explode and all the light goes into my heart and everything. And that was explained. Those were intelligent things, but it was a download of its light and its energy to your chakras. Oh, I said, okay. Anyway, that was a channeling experience, a whole different thing. But this alien experience, and I've always, we talked about this, but I'm skeptical to me. It has to pass my test. And so for years, I was kind of like never really told the story. I know it happened. And subsequently, from memories that are suppressed dreams, or were they really dreams, or were they just what happened? Because I don't think people just normally dream about being inside a metallic room, looks like a hospital, you know, with all kinds of weird instruments and people looking down at them.
Let's stay there. So where you are in the story in terms of this extraterrestrial encounter, they come into the house, they go away, they come back, you race into your sister's room, they're using this like fishing pole thing, you're terrified, they're terrified. But now is it in a dream state that you're actually seeing yourself in a spaceship, or
for the next years there was this thing when I woke up in the morning that was my memory, but it was like, was that a dream? Mm-hmm. And so it's interesting. So I went to jump ahead, I went to the VA hospital because I had they want to check the density of my bones. They would want to check the spine on. I said, check here. I said, why? I said, just CT scan of my forearm. And they did it. And there's a non-metallic, looks like one of those little devices you put in, that the vet puts in for your dog. It's like
a tracking device.
Yeah, it's a little tracking device right next to the bone. And they go, did you get wounded? I said, yeah, I got wounded, but not there. And I would remember getting wounded in the forearm.
When did you discover that?
About 3 years ago.
So it's been there since the age of 5, and you didn't discover it until you went to this appointment 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So like if you touch your arm, you couldn't feel it. And why did you direct them to check it out suddenly?
Just intuition.
Intuition.
I go, not this arm, I didn't ask. Leg, I go, check here. And then there's this, And then, of course, what does the military want to do? They bring a couple people in and they go, yeah, we got to take that out. I go, why? What's it doing? Well, we don't know what it's doing, but we got to take it out. And I said, well, if you take it out, I want it back. Well, it's hazardous waste.
They don't know that.
And they wanted to keep it.
It's
and I
not
said,
theirs to
no,
keep.
if you take it, I want it.
Right.
So then 6 months later, I go to Kaiser, an HMO here in California. In case people are watching this from outer space, they, what's Kaiser? Anyway, so, and they scanned it too, because I told them, and they wanted to take it out, and they didn't want to give it back to me either. And I'm going, what is this? Everybody wants to take it out. They want to look at it. They want to send it to their labs, and nobody wants to have a conversation with it after they get it. It's not mine. They don't give me a report back or nothing. Well, we'll tell you if it's cancerous. Well, it's not cancerous. It's some non-metallic object sitting in there. So that was it. So when I was having this, go back to the channeling, that came up.
This little woman, this powerful little woman, she brings
I got this little transmitter thing, whatever it is, and I'm talking to this channeled being and this person, this beautiful young lady, and I'm talking to her, and this guy's talking to me, and I'm having a conversation with this channeled person. So that's the whole, another adjustment there. So I'm talking, and I go, well, they wanted to take it out and keep it. And I said, I didn't want to give it up. But would have been wrong to have it taken out? Would it take something away from me? Am I being tracked, or is it an energy device, what it is? And so the channeled voice is going, no, you don't need it anymore, but we would be very displeased and concerned if they were studying it and taking it apart. So
why did you ask? Why would you be displeased?
They were going to take this thing out, and the government would be studying it. And
I get it, but why don't they want the government studying it?
It's interesting. I don't know. They prefer to stay in my body for whatever reason. And so there could be other reasons they want to stay in my body. But
yeah.
My view was, at the time, it's not hurting me. They can't tell me that it's hurting me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's a GPS tracker, through the dimensions. I don't know. I didn't know if that was something to help my health or communications or an energy focus point. So I'm going, what? I don't understand. It didn't feel benevolent. It didn't feel evil.
Didn't feel malevolent. In fact, they were benevolent. It sounds like they were kind, and there was it wasn't dangerous.
Here's my take on the whole experience, because usually I tell things, and this is a factual story. So I'm going to tell you something that I don't even know if it's factual. Okay, I'm telling you what I sense, what I thought. Between dream and reality, whatever. I felt this, so I disavow any knowledge of this. This is not necessarily the political views of the station, the Christine or I. Anyway, one of those statements. So I'll give you the flow that comes.
You're giving a disclaimer.
A disclaimer ahead of time that, like, I'm them listening to me, and I don't even know if I believe me. All right.
Okay.
All right. So, there's things I stand on. I say, no, the sun's coming up tomorrow. This is true. This stuff I'm going, and I'm thinking, because there's a part of me that still holds back recognizing fully what happened, if that makes sense. There's a part of me that goes, well, for some reason, all right? It's like that door's been kind of shut, and I'm content, and I'm not pounding it down. But what I'm sensing is, not only was I visited again, but I was visited nightly for decades. And I kept getting downloads. And I kept getting more energy, more abilities. But I never felt the group was experimenting on me. I thought of it more as DNA, spiritual DNA and energy DNA being manipulated to upgrade the capacity level, if that makes sense. In other words, they're doing this to increase the receiving of energy, to change the frequencies, because apparently the human, all conjecture, tell your audience, it's crazy Reverend Bill talking, but it's like this. If you got a light bulb, it's a 60-watt bulb. You can't plug it into 220, it's going to blow it out. Mm-hmm. But if you want this person to function at 220 level voltage, you got to upgrade the whole system. You need circuit breakers there. So all of these downloads was in preparation for changing the wattage, and it kept evolving. And I kind of felt like I was being taught, being shown, and schooled.
Yeah.
Not so much anything new. It was more of a remember this, remember this, remember this, remember this. It was just like, wake up from your childhood sleep in this lifetime, but you already know all this stuff. And so it was more of that, if that makes sense, because I'm going, okay, fine. I'm spilling it as it flows out without any filter.
I love that.
So it was more of a reaffirming knowledge that had already gotten at some point in some lifetime, someplace. Mm-hmm. It was just like, and then that was when I was really young. And then as it went, I was more of brought in to teach others. In other words, I'm gone at night, but I'm helping them, and I'm helping others. And that's the crazy part. Is like, what? You going over there and you're helping? What, helping what? So, and it wasn't necessarily all terrestrial. It was interdimensional. So that's the crazy story that I'm not going to put in and swear to notoriety that this. I'm just telling you the sense of all the dreams and kind of memories that I'm saying. So it either means, number one, I was crazy, or number two, I hit my head, or it actually happened, or things happen similar, but the human consciousness can't fully accept the download in the now at this present level, and when you're awake in the consciousness. So, like all good dream things, there's all symbolism and things, but I really feel that at night, for a short period of time, it was a reawakening process, and then they graduated to a teaching process, even to them, the abductors.
So, as I listen to you,
Boy, that's crazy.
Well, no, though. It's actually, it's certainly extraordinary. It's certainly exceptional. And I think there are millions of people who would say, that's crazy. This man is a charlatan. And we're not here to convince anyone of anything. That is not the purpose of the show. That is not the purpose of the conversation. But for those who have had experiences, who also are interested in raising their consciousness and exploring concepts that are about elevating love consciousness, and believe that we are not the only life form in the universe, it isn't as crazy. And what I hear in terms of, I'm always listening for validation. And you've already mentioned areas of validation, and I would like to say them back to you. Number one, your sisters. Number two, these capacities to have expanded awareness, call it clairvoyance, claircognizance, clairsentience. Also, what you shared in the other show is this deep, abiding love consciousness that made you know things, that made you feel compelled to teach this gospel, not in the religious sense, of love. So you're being compelled in this direction. And then you have this odd contraption device that you have no awareness of except for the day of the scan. Intuitively you say, move it here. And then you have this channeling session when you're in Hawaii, and a woman channels some sort of being without you saying, by the way, can you check this out? Without any awareness, is how I'm hearing you, she brings it up, more validation. So coincidence is one thing. And I'm not big on coincidence. I think there's great many ways things are at play spiritually to orchestrate who we meet, when, why, what happens. But when I listen to stories of people who have heightened abilities, they resonate, they vibrate at a higher frequency, less fear, greater love, more insights that are just uncanny. They should not know whether they have had a near-death experience or not. What I hear is that, yes, they are supported by guides, sometimes angels, they call it the divine, but very frequently I also hear extraterrestrial beings who are, and this is what I hear over and over again, are more evolved spiritually than humans are, and that there is interplay often between humans and extraterrestrials to help elevate consciousness and move towards greater peace, unity, also greater technical advances in a way that can be administered towards the greater good for humanity rather than destruction. So when I hear your story, I'm like, this is something we should pay attention to.
Yeah, it's not one of these tales of terror.
No.
I'm not terrified of the possibility. I mean, now, but I can understand how my sisters get scared. I can't speak on their behalf, and one's dead, so, but to me, it was like that was something that was supposed to happen to me.
Right.
And the fact that my sisters tagged along that one time, I got a feeling that that was also part of a validation process.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting that that experience could happen and we could be screaming and yelling and making noise and everybody's dead to sleep. Literally, nobody's waking, nobody's moving, just feet away.
I didn't even think about that, but you said, yeah, your brother just fell asleep so quickly.
Yeah.
It was like, perhaps this is where I start to get creative. Like, they were like, okay, if this is going to happen, we need to anesthetize them. Put a little bit of a spell. You're not going to wake up. Please don't interfere. We have work to do.
Yeah, it was odd. But I've had visits from spheres, orbs, not just, camera orbs, everybody's fighting. But I'm talking like, and this was discussed in my channeling session. I said, you got any questions? So I brought up stuff like, I go,
good.
Okay, I had this orb experience, this basically these orbs came, I was meditating and this orb appeared when I was meditating, and I look up, it's this bright, looks like the sunshine, about the size of a beach ball. It's right in the corner of the room, and it was like sunlight. It's like sun rays coming out of it. You could see it wasn't just flat. It was like emanating. And I just look up at it. I go, not a thought, not a question, nothing. I just looked at it and I was feeling loved. It was like that orb, that crystal orb, whatever it was a living consciousness. There was something there. It was conscious, and it could have been a minute me staring. It could have been an hour because I like 2-hour meditation on a short time clocks or nothing else. And then finally, after not me asking anything, me being totally perfectly relaxed, this thought just came to me. I was just absorbing that whole time. Thought I never thought about before. But I'm watching it and it's just this transaction of love between these two objects. And then all of a sudden there's this huge sound like a sonic boom. I mean it's earth shaking. I figured the whole neighborhood heard it and the police would come, and it was just a huge explosion. And then these, I call them shards of light because it was like shards of glass, explodes like in slow motion, and they were all these shards of light hitting all my chakras and my forehead and my crown, and my body was absorbing all this light. And then, of course, I went upstairs. Nobody heard any noise. Everybody thought I was crazy, etc. So that happened about 30 some years before I wrote my first book. And I was going to put that I'm going to put that in my book, right? Because I've already clarified the alien thing. Okay, I'm going to go with that. Then this weird story, I go, and then I thought, you know, I should have asked it questions. How could I talk about something I don't understand? It was like, and so I was writing my book on screen, just like I'm looking at this computer screen there, and I'm typing questions for the orb. I mean, like if it ever happens again, I'm going to ask this, you know, and then I kind of trying to remember the experience exactly too, right? So I sit there and I write about 18 or 20 questions. I got them on my screen, you know. Is this a consciousness? Where are you from? What's the purpose? You know, are you whatever, right? Bunch of stuff, logical questions with my mind.
Yeah.
And then I feel somebody looking at me, and there's light in the room, and I look up from my computer. It was right in this very room I'm in here, right here, and I just look up, and in the corner of the room, same exact orb, same exact orb. I know it's the same orb, even though it blew up. It's the same, or the same consciousness, or it's same, you know. Yeah. And I'm looking at it, and I got the questions on the screen. I just wrote them, and I just stared at it and absorbed love. And it was a long time this time, but I didn't ask one single question. There wasn't a thought in my mind like, okay, what's this about? This is unique. It wasn't even that kind of thought. It was just mindless. It was just absorbing love. Anyway, so and then it blows up. More light. You know, 30 years later, I get another induction of, you know, boom, energy, light, whatever it is. So, never asked one question. So, I go, wait a minute, I got this channeling person here in front of me. Let's ask them, you know. I want to know what this is.
I'm so glad you did. I want to know too.
And so, okay, so whether I believe the channeling or not, let's ask the question, right? Throw it out there. And the alien being that's answering this, or whatever the channel presence is, goes that was another upgrade, and it's not my last. And explained to me that, like, you know, a computer, you know, your phone, you got to upgrade them, you know, and so it's to receive even a higher level of energy. And so said I'd have another one. So we'll see. If I have another one, I'll make it known. But anyway, so what was interesting in my trip to Hawaii, in this interview, the morning I get back from Hawaii, because you wanted to talk about this before, and then, you know, I was kind of like half, right? You know, I talk about love, I talk about spiritual stuff. You know, this is not really my alley. You know, well, people might be interested in this. And I go to Hawaii, and then my last full day in Hawaii, I get all this UFO stuff, alien stuff. It's even more than that, because this kahuna's talking about aliens and the old kahunas, and I mean, all kinds of stuff, right? So all the conversations well, at least half of the conversations with these kahunas and healers all gets back into this realm of extraterrestrial, interdimensional energies and stuff.
Yes.
Just
well, that's
warm
the
you
thing.
up.
It's
Just to
not,
warm you up for your interview.
Well, it's not coincidence. You know, it's not coincidence. And I keep hearing, again, because I spend so much of my time thinking about these things, investigating these things, presenting and having conversations with guests on my show. We're at the stage, I'm understanding, in the next 40 to 50 years, it's going to be such a shift in human consciousness, which
it's
avails...
It's happening this year.
Okay. Well, I want to hear about this, because what I'm hearing is there's like this 40 to 50 years is going to be a radical shift. And even in this year, I've heard from two different sources that the government has known about aliens, extraterrestrials, unidentified aerial phenomena, UFOs, for a long time, but it's going to start to come out. They're going to make their presence more known. More people are going to see them. And again, they are benevolent and not malevolent. You're nodding your head. Tell me what you see and know.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now that, now, first off, Southern California, in particular, Santa Monica, there's a yacht harbor there.
Yacht harbor? Is that what you said?
Yeah, down in Santa Monica area. That ocean right there and that channel right there. There are at least 5,000 videos of UFOs there over the last 3-4 years. It's a hotbed.
Okay.
I mean, people got videos of Coast Guard and Navy helicopters chasing things. And I mean, and the guy's been filming them. There's a guy that's been filming them. He actually went and talked to a group of people at an Air Force base in the California desert someplace. They called him up. They wanted to hear about what he's been filming. Anyway, I'm telling you that there's a shift going on. Whether people have to believe in extracurricular or not, forget that. Just believe in energy. Yeah. Just believe in man's spiritual destiny. But there's a shift of consciousness. And since I believe there's only one consciousness, whether there's aliens are a part of that, other dimensions are a part of that, the whole thing, anything you believe in, I don't care, whatever it is, it's all a part of this one consciousness. So is anything really coming from anywhere else? No. Right. It's all within us, because all creation and non-creation, everything's within us. There's no place else to go. So it's like, well, where do these guys come from? And I'm going, the whole universe is within inside of you. Take a pick, right? And so, well, we're never going to see these guys because it takes, 100 million light years. You never live long enough to go all these planets and stuff, and I'm going, they go, well, that's with the speed of light. But with the speed of consciousnness, thought, there's no distance.
Yeah, that's limitless.
That's why you can shoot a particle out into space that's a part of this particle originally, and it could be thousands of miles away or whatever. And whatever happens to this one happens to that one. They vibrate together. But there is no distance between the energy source. And to me, the energy source is all love. They can give it all the labels they want. But love holds everything together. Yeah. And whether we have alien brothers or whatever, it's just a matter of frequency and degrees of frequencies and vibration. And that's how you shift to dimensions. And changing your frequency also shifts where you appear in your now. In other words, are you going quote unquote forward or backwards in time? You're focused on this now moment, but your past moment is just as alive and real as this is. There's a crazy statement for you. And the future is just as real as this is right now.
But time is an illusion.
Time is an illusion. It's all happening now. That's why you can basically change yourself now. You're actually changing your karma because you're changing who and what you did. And you can actually go through meditation, you can actually change your frequency, go in the past and change some things for your past karma. That's why high evolved meditation, Kundalini energy techniques such as Kriya Yoga works. And they always tell people, well, this will help get rid of your past karma, but they don't tell people why. Well, because it's all frequency shift, and you shift your former now as well as the forward. You go both directions. As you improve here, you improve backwards and forwards. So
I love that. That's fascinating. Anyway, so the message continually, the through line, and really the answer is love.
Absolutely.
And so I want to hear a recommendation, and then time goes by so quickly, we're going to have to start wrapping it up. But when you think about elevating love consciousness, if you go into a meditation, you've had all these downloads, and what I'm getting is that the mission for you is to help others access love and live from a place of love. What are some of your suggestions for how people can pause their lives and purposely connect to love? Do you have any? Because sometimes I've worked with clients and it can be challenging for them, and so I have certain things that I recommend. But what are your recommendations?
Well, I always welcome these creative people that do real workshops, because mine are more, honestly, my workshop's just me infusing them with energy disguised as a workshop. Mm-hmm. I'm changing their frequency, and I'm using stories and stuff, but it's just me changing their frequency, and they come on, oh, what great stuff. And my workshops are not, you're going to do a little workbook and here's this and that. Yeah. It's the essence of absorption of energy. And the greatest energy of all is love. Mm-hmm. And so I'm out there teaching people, be more childlike. Yes. By that I mean, open your heart chakra. Stop thinking, stop analyzing, stop being this adult. I mean, being an adult is way oversold. I mean, you got to be an adult on the job, do your stuff, right? You follow the law and orders and drive your car. But you know what? Children see angels.
Yeah.
Children see leprechauns. Children see mini hoonies in Hawaii. Children see God, you know, because they don't get all this interference with logic telling them, well, that can't be. You can't see it if you don't believe it.
That's exactly right. I am not going to share, obviously, my client's name, but I have a client, and in the last year, have really been doing work with them around self-compassion, and it always starts with doing what I call imaginative inner child work, because we get so clouded with self-doubt, our stories of not being enough, of being harmed, of harming other people, of suffering, of strife. And so one of the most fundamental things I do is we're going to start. I want you to connect with a wonderful moment from childhood. You could be playing in the creek, you could be playing with roly-poly bugs, you could be playing with friends, just a space and time where you can go back to the magic of being a child. And so I introduced it to this woman, and part of it is also some emotional clearing work. She came back, I saw her yesterday, and she goes, Kristin, this was insane. She goes, I went back, I was there, like it was happening. I was touching the blades of grass. I could see the dew on the leaves. I was in the water, and it was like I was liberated. I was just so happy again. Everything about her changed because she reconnected with that part of her that is still alive, but we've suppressed. And it was just as real as today. And her mind shift was extraordinary. So to me, that speaks to exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's and I always applaud. I have a lot of friends that are energy workers of various kinds, life coaches. I found those that are most successful have the greatest imagination, because they're not afraid to try any game. Yes. And if they can get their client to say, just do this crazy childlike thing.
Just play with it.
Play with it. And I'm more like, it should just work, man, because I just turn the thing on. I'm alive. I love. That's it. So I'm having, my problem now is, how do I dummy down into something more simple to, I'm bringing this elaborate thing of spices.
You're the translator.
So I have to take it here. I'm honest with you, because I talk to a lot of people. I give a lot of clients. Not everybody is able to get the gist of what I'm saying, because I'm really saying, when you realize that there's only one, and people look at me, what do you mean? There's only one. There's only one place, one time, one God, one consciousness. There's just nothing else. There's just oneness, right? Anything else is separation.
Yes.
When you're praying to God, then you're saying God's not here. He's not you.
Yes.
You got to go looking for him. Yeah. So to me, you don't have to go to India to have a spiritual moment, or go to Hawaii to have a spiritual moment. You can just sit here and I close my eyes. I'm in meditation. I could be in a cave in the Himalayas.
Bingo.
Or I could be, it's me. And then I look at this, I go, well, I got Kristin down there. That's really just reflection of me. A better looking reflection of me, but a nice reflection. And there's only us. There's only we. I'm not into separating anybody, and that includes anybody that doesn't like me. They're enemies, so-called enemies. I'm going, who needs to be my love more than they do?
Yes.
I may not want them in my circle because they drag my energy down, but I'm never going to stop loving them.
Yeah.
That's my rule. You got to love everybody, but you don't have to like everybody. So that's it. So, but you love them, send them energy, because you realize that's you. It's all one.
That is so simple and so radical at the same time. If everyone, myself included, because I have certain political people that I'm like, I don't like them. They're causing harm. But it also is, he or she is also me. And instead of staying in the energy of being hateful, to say, I don't have to like them. I can love them, though. And if more people did that collectively, what that would do to the energy and our capacity to move towards a heightened consciousness and love consciousness, that's the big lesson. And I think one within reach, maybe not the second, but for those who are receptive, it matters.
This year, probably more now than ever have we reached a point in America. And actually, it's like what we're going through it with politics and religion in this country. That's happening in Israel. That's happening in Germany. That's happening in England. It's happening in Russia. There's a polarity. It's all the opposing energies, and our side is right. Your side is wrong. There's no compromise, no desire to compromise anywhere. And I'm telling people, you want to be crazy this year? Watch the news. Invest in the news and the outcome, and you realize you can't control any of the outcomes.
Yeah.
And yet you're investing all your emotions into it, and then you get angry when you see somebody lying. They're lying
because
the other side's looking. The other side's looking at you saying you're lying. These guys. So everybody says they're all lying, right? So it's like, to me, America loses no matter who's in office and who's winning. So
I'm gonna hold a different opinion of that, because I think one person could actually really
No, here's why both sides lose. Okay? Pick any winner you want. Red, blue, doesn't matter. Half the country's going to hate that guy and be fighting against him.
Agreed.
So we lose.
Agreed.
The other guy wins, the other half's against him. We lose. There's no election process that's going to say, oh, it's over. The election's finally over. We're going to start talking about it, and we're moving on, and we're all lovey-dovey, and we're going to work out. Yeah. No, that's not happening. So what I'm telling people is, so that's what I'm saying, it's a lose, whoever wins. I mean, there's degrees of loss.
I thank you for saying that, because there are degrees of loss. I think if one person gets in there, then the calamity that could happen to our Constitution, our democracy, and people's human rights is going to be challenging.
Here's the scary part. Ready for this? Those people running are what America has earned and deserved for its karma.
Yeah.
They are punishment.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, whoa, is that really reflecting America's soul? Yes.
The current
Unfortunately,
state. Yeah,
it is.
I hear you. I absolutely hear you.
Okay, so if that's the problem, because I'm throwing this off the political table, I'm saying, no, it's a spiritual problem.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean a spiritual problem? No, it's a spiritual problem.
Yes.
So the only way you can change what is happening is to change you. Because when you change you and you upgrade you to a newer, higher frequency, then you've automatically changed the only thing you can change yourself, number one, the only thing you have control over. Mm-hmm. Number two, when you change, you add to the whole consciousness.
What's the contribution, the energetic
a contribution
exchange?
that's greater than these lesser energy people. Trust me. Say you have 1 million of these lesser energy people. Say they're the energy 200, whatever that means. Just say it 200. And they affect each other one-to-one. Mm-hmm. And then you get somebody that's like at a 400, it's kind of evolved, and maybe they affect 100 people with their energy. Yeah. And then you get the people that are 600, and they affect 10,000. And then you get the guy that's sitting in a cave someplace, and he affects millions. So and then you get a Buddha or Jesus or somebody who's affecting billions. So it doesn't have to be one-for-one change.
Yeah.
It is the core group that tips this thing.
I think that is so hopeful.
It's a very small percentage.
I love
high frequency people.
I love that.
So I'm telling you, have hope. Mm-hmm. Trust me. If I sat and watched 3 days of cable news, I'd be going, good God, man, I'm moving to Canada. Then Canada's got their own problems. Well, I'll move to Switzerland, which, whatever. So it's like...
You're always being chased by poison, yeah.
So change... So the people watch this, I'm telling you, change you, because you're not going to change everybody's religion or politics. And if you're debating religion and if you're debating politics, you're wasting both your times, because you got two egos saying we're right.
Of course.
We're right, you're wrong, you're left, you're right. I mean, it's like, come on. And you got degrees in there. So when I'm doing my workshops, I never talk dogma, religious dogma. Mm-hmm. And I'm going spiritual. I mean, it's just, what can everybody agree on? Love, forgiveness, gratitude.
That's great.
Service.
That's so good. That feels like a beautiful place for us to end. So love, forgiveness, gratitude, and service.
That's it.
Thank you.
It's all the best you can hope for.
It is. Thank you so much, Reverend.
We love you.
How I Made It Through is produced and distributed by EIQ Media, LLC. Elevate your emotional IQ with podcasts and content focused on overcoming adversity, leadership, mental health, entrepreneurship, spiritually transformative experiences, and more.